So, and is this your last day here at the Palace?
Actually, yesterday was my last official day of owning the Palace, but I'll be coming in for a few weeks just finishing up some stuff.
And how are you feeling about that?
It's bittersweet. I've been in the restaurant business almost 53 years, and the Palace for almost 22. And I love the business. I just felt it was time to retire, hang up the spurs.
Any particular impetus for hanging up the spurs, or just it was time?
Well, my wife got sick a couple of years ago, so that kind of started me thinking. So about a year ago, I started thinking I should start winding down.
So it's about family.
Right.
Yeah. So why don't you talk about some of your favorite memories for the last 22 years?
There's lots of them. Waylon Jennings was here one night and got up on stage and played when we had Hair Trigger, which was a band. Several actors have been over the years. God, it's hard to say. We put on a big benefit for the 19, me and Matt from next door, and Charlie Arnold that closed down the street. So that was a big event for the whole street. Well, I need to think about that a little bit harder.
The Palace has become kind of a community gathering place. You know, you have everything from political, watch parties for the election nights to, your dinner shows and your weekend business that comes in and out. And really, this is such an iconic Prescott place to go. And you've done a lot to make it that way.
Well, we restored it in 1996. It was always been, the Palace has always been famous, but it was pretty run down back in those days, and it didn't have any food service. So I just felt, my partners felt, putting food service in the Palace would open up to a lot more people, families. So it brings a lot more people to Whiskey Row and to Prescott.
And what do you want to say to the people of Prescott as far as these last 22 years go?
Well, they've been very supportive, very kind over the years. The Palace has done extremely well. Yes, we get a lot of tourists, but you can't sustain in a town like Prescott without local support. And we've had a lot of local support. We've had a lot of great press over the years, a lot of accolades. So we're very proud of that. People in Prescott are fantastic.
Okay. Anything else you want to add?
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy.
So, first of all, why don't you introduce yourself and explain why we're here?
Go ahead.
My name's Derry McCormick. This is my husband, Dennis. As of yesterday, we purchased the Palace. We're very excited. It's an amazing historical landmark and iconic place. And we're looking forward to preserving and showcasing the history.
And is this your first time owning a restaurant?
Yes, it is. However, Scott has been the manager here for 4 years and will continue to be the manager. He's going to be our partner. He's been in the restaurant business for 30 years.
So this is a whole new venture for you then?
Yes, it's very much a new venture, although we've spent enough time in bars, restaurants, in our lives. So we kind of understand it a little bit. And this one, yes. We first started coming out here a little over 4 years ago. And one of the things that you always do when you come to Prescott is come down to the square. And when you come down to the square, look what's here. It's the Palace. Okay, when we first walked into this, we were like, okay, this will work. Yeah, this is a good place to go have a beer, and relax. And as we discovered, Prescott reminded me of America 30 to 40 years ago, where you meet people on the street, you meet people everywhere, and everybody can carry on a conversation. They're very respectful, very friendly, and we really just kind of fell in love with the community, and henceforth started looking for houses in our properties because Derry was wanting to get away from the St. Louis environment of high humidity and high temperatures and cold temperatures and high humidity. So we found a really nice place out in Williamson Valley, and Then this opportunity kind of came along, kind of just by surprise, actually. And in thinking about it, we wanted to make sure that this place stayed within this community, and that the history of this place and what it means to the city of Prescott is very important, and so we wanted to make sure that that lived on.
So where are you folks from then?
Well, my lovely wife, okay, is originally from Zambia, Africa,
Central Africa,
and
but have been in the States since '74.
and I basically grew up in St. Louis and resided there pretty much my whole life. We moved here a year ago, December, from there after our house was finished being built. And I've been all over. We've been all over the planet. We've traveled quite extensively, and but this just now rings home.
And when you say St. Louis, is that St. Louis, Missouri?
Yes,
Okay.
St. Louis, Missouri. Actually, out in the St. Louis County areas. Okay, not necessarily in the city, but I had an engineering company there, and I was fortunate enough after 25 years of that to sell it, and able to retire a little bit early than some people, but I was fortunate. And at the end of the day, I was retired for 6 years, and we're like, okay, got to go do something. So here we are.
So do you plan to be hands-on in many ways?
Not necessarily. Scott's going to be the general manager, day-to-day operations in terms of hiring the other if it's necessary. The things that I'm going to wind up doing is take a look at efficiencies. It's just the engineer in me, okay? So take a look at how to maybe make the kitchen a little more efficient. We're looking at upgrading some things. Derry has this thing where she wants to upgrade the women's restroom, okay, which is fine, and we're looking to make it just a better place. We're not looking to do major things to the place. It's a very successful place as it is now, and we want to keep it the way it is.
So really, you don't want to change it. You just want to improve in a few areas that can be done.
And a lot of it's back of the house things, computerization.
Dave was very
Old school.
Old school. Writing checks for everything instead of maybe having some auto payments and things like that. So.
But as far as the historic aspect of it, we want to maintain it and preserve it.
And propagate that.
Yeah.
So, how does this compare to Zambia? How does Prescott compare to Zambia? I'm very interested in that part.
Wow. So when I lived there till I was 13. It was very different to the way it is now. It was a British colony, an amazing place to live. I just took Dennis back a couple times, went on safari, that sort of thing. Beautiful weather, beautiful countryside.
It's very close to Victoria Falls, which is quite a spectacular sight. If anybody ever gets a chance to go, I highly recommend it.
Very, very different lifestyle, but a beautiful place. But like I said, I've been in the States since '74, so I'm an all-American girl now.
Oh, I bet you are. So, and I was mentioning to Dave that the Palace has become even more than just the iconic Western walk in the doors and be in the 1800 feel, but it's also a community gathering place.
Yes.
They have election after parties here. They have a lot of meetings here and a lot of just New Year's Eve, of course, everybody's
boot
in
drop,
here,
yep.
and the boot drop and that sort of thing. So are those things that you're hoping to continue also?
Absolutely.
Yes, very much so.
Absolutely.
Even more so. Matter of fact, we're starting to get outside tour companies, okay, bringing in groups from Europe and Asia, and wanting to set up, okay, a series of meals and other parts of entertainment, and which also is great because it brings that outside interest into the city of Prescott, not just for this bar and restaurant, and it helps this community. And that's really one of our main interests, is that we wanted to preserve this and keep it within the Prescott family.
We also want to get more vested in the Prescott community and the locals, and do what we can, to be involved with that, and as you said, make it a gathering place for groups and families, and really sort of also cater to the local market.
So now the menu, are you expecting that to stay the same, or are you going to mix it up a little bit?
That's a really good question.
We're going to keep a lot of it the same, but we're definitely going to add some items, change some items. We're pretty excited about some new ideas we have, so.
So there's a little more what we would call comfort food things that we're looking to add to it.
But also more healthy options. So.
Yes.
A lot of different things we're looking at.
But it's going to be flavored towards the Old West and being out on Roundup and things of that nature. So
Very interesting. What do you want to say to the people of Prescott?
hello, we're here.
We're
Come-
very
come visit us.
excited. We're very honored. We're going to do what we can to preserve the history of the palace. It's a privilege to be custodians of this, and we want to do it proud.
Well, I'm Scott Stanford, and this is my lovely wife, Martha. We've been at the Palace here for over 4 years with Dave, and made a lot of changes with Dave, and went on a heck of a run. I think at one point we set 34 sales records in a row. Over almost 3 years. We're doing that again. And there's not going to be a lot of changes. We're going to keep the history alive, the costumes, all that, because this is such a gem. I mean, it's such a special place, and that's why we sought out Dennis and Derry, and we got very lucky to find people to help us acquire the palace and keep it.
And so you're going to be the general manager, but you're also a partner
Yes.
in the endeavor. So what makes you love the Palace so much?
It's I also opened the Texas Roadhouse when I moved here in 2008, and I've been doing this for 30 years. But I think because it's just such an icon, it's a destination. It's not a. You work at some place like corporate or Chili's or whatever. What do you talk about? How neat it is that there's 1,000 more of them that look exactly the same. I mean, this is a one and only. It's a historical icon. The history here is unbelievable, and people come from all over the country and even other countries to see the palace. I mean, it's a fun place to work. It just, God, I could go on about the history. Martha is a history nut and reads all the archives.
I first came in the doors probably 2002, I think it was. And my father had just moved here, and my girlfriend and I walked through. It was a cold, snowy night, and we just saw all these people dressed in garb, and we laughed and giggled, walked outside. I think we time warped. Let's try this again. Walked back in, and there they were, and I was just amazed. I felt like I walked into Disneyland my first time. And then about close to 5 years ago, I came and applied and got lucky enough to get hired, and buried myself in all the historical archives just to learn every little bit I could about it. And this place is just amazing. It's living history.
Martha's really upscaled the costumes, the 1800 attire, and made it so much better. I mean, she doesn't like to go anywhere dressed like that. We forget we're dressed like this. People come in and stare at you, and you forget because you're working, and but it's been a lot of fun.
So it sounds like the menu is going to stay largely
It's
the same.
going to stay
but a
largely
few
the same. We're going to
tweaks.
add some more comfort food, some more moderately priced meals, and not such a high-end steakhouse. We're obviously still going to have prime rib and steaks and all the stuff we do well, but we have a really small kitchen for this facility, and with our sales, we've almost outgrown that space, so we're going to have to be very careful about what we do with the menu that the kitchen could execute it, because on a busy day here we'll do 500 covers for lunch, and in a place this size it's amazing that can happen. So we're going to make some good changes. Not a lot of them. A lot of it will stay the same. I mean, we owe it to Prescott. This is the gem of Whiskey Row, and it's everybody that lives here seems if people come out of town, they bring them to see the Palace, and we want to make sure that stays the same, and that everybody's proud of it.
Yeah. Well, I've sent many people to the Palace for the same reason. If you want to see Prescott and the history, you need to go.
I remember walking through the doors 10 years ago the first time and seeing the ceiling and everything, and just awestruck. It's just a neat place, and it's even neater when it's absolutely jam-packed with people, and it is lately. So it's been a lot of fun. We look forward to the next 10 or 20 years, and having our names on that very elite few who've owned the Palace, and it's a lot of history. Shell Dunbar and Bob Brow and all the guys that have owned it, since 1877. It's a neat list. It's a good feeling.
And we're very glad to have worked for Dave. I think he's been one of the best bosses I've ever had. And what he did here is just amazing. A lot of the locals are a little upset about having their honky-tonk taken away a little bit, but when he took over, there were holes in the floor he could fall through. It was near condemned, and he kind of approached it like a classic car and wanted to put it back to its original grandeur, and I think he did an amazing job at that. And Dennis and Derry, we've known them for almost as long as we've been working here. They have been the kindest people and become great friends. Every Christmas, they're the type of people that will come in and bring giant gift bags with goodies for all the workers here. They've invited us at different times to go dinner or whatever. They're just wonderful people. So I feel extremely fortunate to be involved with Dave and Dennis and Derry and the Mansfields. And they're just wonderful people.
Yeah, Dennis and Derry absolutely went on this venture because they didn't want to see the Palace change into something else, or they wanted to make, and they love the staff here and the history as well. And they've been regular. When they lived in St. Louis, they were our best regulars because they were flying into town all the time, getting their house built, and they lived 1,200 miles away, and we saw them all the time, and it's been really great people. So.
Well, congratulations. Anything else you want to add before the city of Prescott?
Come see us. We got some great food now, and great staff here. It's a lot of fun, and come taste the history.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.